So next we have the exciting honor to give out our 2022 TBF Preventative Research Grant. So I'd like to call up Dr. Jan Karl Burkhardt. He's a member of our Scientific Advisory Board, and he is a neurosurgeon here at the University of Pennsylvania.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for all being here. Really, the federal support for brain aneurysms is very limited, and we're really depending on all the donations and fundings from all of you to really make research happen for brain aneurysms. And not only for the patients, also for us physicians, it's very difficult to get the opportunity for research grants, and that really gives us the opportunity to look into the pathophysiology of aneurysms and possible new treatment options. So we want to thank you all for that.
Thank you, Jan. I did want to comment. So we're really excited that the research grants this year are in the names of two families. Our first research grant is the Yezi Family Preventative Research Grant in honor of Zach Yezi and his family, who's here with us tonight. So I'd like to invite Zach up to be part of giving Dr. Robert Starke his research grant. Zach survived a brain aneurysm and AVM and has been extremely dedicated to fundraising. Him and his family have raised almost $200,000 in the past 2 years since his rupture. So we can't thank you enough, Zach. So honored. And so Robert Starke, please come up and receive your award for the research grant.
Thanks so much. Amazing to be here again tonight, 1 year later, at this amazing organization. And I'll try and keep this brief. But it's hard to look at how we've changed how we're treating patients over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And what I constantly think about is we've got to be able to do things better in the next X number of years than how we're doing it now. You know, when I think back 20 years ago, every case was a massive incision, a massive surgery. A lot of those surgeries would take all day long. And we still do have to do those, but a lot of times, you know, we can fix things through 30 minutes or 45 minutes by going through a blood vessel in the wrist and the arm. And so someone was specifically saying, you know, how does this research change things? You know, what is the appreciable difference that you can see on sort of a daily, monthly, yearly basis? And I think it's through a couple things. The biggest areas that we need to make progress in are one, we can come up with a genetic or molecular test to identify patients that are prone to aneurysms or that have aneurysms that are more likely to rupture. So that's something that's achievable, I think, in our lifetime. So that would be a test, maybe it's a blood sample, or just taking a couple of cells from the inside of the mouth, or something along those lines. Number two, so we're screening patients with MRIs, ultrasounds. We use all these different new technologies to look at the blood vessels without entering them. And for sure in the future, we're going to have better imaging to identify aneurysms, and those are a risk. So that might be molecular imaging or antibody-mediated imaging, where we can do a minimally invasive test to see who has an aneurysm and who's more likely to suffer consequences of that. Number three is, currently we don't have any medical therapies for these patients that have any sort of real appreciable results. So a lot of times I meet with a patient and we think about a surgery or treatment that's very high risk. Now, if we could develop a medication that prevents aneurysm progression or rupture, that might be much better, and certainly it's less invasive than endovascular therapies or surgical therapies. And then lastly, at least that I'm focused on, is minimally invasive technology. So I think a lot of people in this room have been touched by some of those treatments. So that's where we go through the blood vessel in the arm or the leg to fix something in the brain. And even in the last 5 years, we've had major jump throughs in technology. You know, we now have stents that have better surface modifications that are less likely to cause stroke. and are able to do a better job of healing patients. And certainly that's going to be a major avenue in the future. So we're working on different coils and different stents potentially that could deliver medications or other things that could decrease the chances of bleeding or complications in the future. And so Zach was specifically saying, how does this money shape things for the future? And, for example, this specific grant, we actually take cells from when we go in and treat patients, we collect those cells, and we can look at molecular alterations within those cells compared to healthy cells. And through these pathways, then we can develop ways to identify them. So those are the things that could be tagged with imaging, like an MRI, or medical therapies to block those specific pathways. Or we can take those medications and put them on coils or stents to be able to better treat our patients in the future. So thank goodness, we're not doing the same things or exactly the same way we were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But again, if we were doing the same way and the same things in the next 10, 20, 30 years, I would be embarrassed. So thank you so much to everyone in this room. I think it's everyone here that's making a huge difference and a drive towards all this. And much appreciated. So thank you.